Okay guys, this is lesson 110 on page 569 of your textbook, and this is going to be a quick one today because it piggybacks off our multiplying decimals lesson from last week. Okay, so when we multiply decimal numbers, remember that we multiply, then we count. Okay, so we're going to just do our multiplication, 3/10 times 3/10, okay, which 3 times 3 I know is 9. And since everything else is zeros here, that's really all I have to do. Okay, but I'm not done with this problem because now I need to do my second step, which is count. And that means I have to count the decimal places in my factors. Well, I see I have one decimal place here, and I have one decimal place here. Well, 1 plus 1 is 2, which means my answer has to have 2 decimal places also. And since I can picture the invisible decimal after my number 9, I'm going to move it 1, 2 places. Well, I can't just leave an answer like this. I have to fill that space in with a 0. Okay, so that's what this lesson is about. It's about multiplying decimals by using zeros as placeholders. Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit today. But it will be brief, okay? Another way to think about this is if I were to think of 3/10 and how I would write that as a fraction, well, I would write it 3 over 10. So if I'm writing 3 over 10 times 3 over 10, my answer is going to be 3 times 3 is 9, 10 times 10 is 100. Okay, and since 9 is over 100, if I wanted to write that as a decimal again, well then I have to go right back to this. I have to put 9 in the hundredths place. So now when I think about it in fraction form, I can remember that 9 must have to be in the hundredths place when I put it in decimal form. Okay, so always, always, always multiply first, count your decimal places second, and use those zeros to hold your places when you don't have one. Okay, let's try one more. And then I'm going to let you have at it, okay? But if I have 0.25 times, let's do 0.3. Okay, I'm going to do my multiplying. 5 times 3 is 15, carry my 1. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. And since everything else is zeros, that's really all I have to do, okay? But I'm not done, right? I have to count my decimals. I have 1, 2 here. 2 numbers are behind the decimal point, so I have 2 here. And I have 1 more here. So 2 plus 1 is 3 decimal places. So here's my invisible decimal. Here I go. 1, 2, 3, which means I have to put a 0 in there. Okay, and again, if I think about this in fraction form, 25 hundredths times 3 tenths is going to equal 25 times 3 is 75. 100 times 10 is 1,000. So I'm going to put that 75 over 100 back into decimal form, which means my 5 has to be in the thousandths place, which means I have to put a 0 in here to make this a correct answer. Okay, so multiply, then count. Go ahead and get some practice in on this. It's going to be very similar to multiplying decimals. Just don't forget to use your zeros to hold your places, okay? Let me know if you have any questions.